Time to buckle up, comic fam. The numbers are in. Doctor Strange is out, and these are the final record breakers prior to the movie release.
And besides that, we have a crazy rare variant that I don't think either one of us have ever seen that went for 4 times the amount. You gotta check it out.
Another week, another list. The comics defining this generation of collectors. Hit the like, slap the subscribe. We got Gem Mint on the line. Why don't you start them off at number 10?
Number 10 is continuing with the Doctor Doom spec. It's Fantastic Four Annual Number 2, The Origin of Doctor Doom. It's also the first appearance of Boris, who's a friend of Doom, and the father of Valeria, Doom's deceased childhood love.
The origin of Victor Von Doom, but quite possibly more importantly, the first battle between Dr. Doom and Ramatut, who is actually Kang the Conqueror. I digress. This book has made our list twice in the last 2 weeks. Let's look at the numbers. We have a 4.0 prior record set in 2021 selling for $425. We have 2 different sales, one for $595 and another for an increase of 64% since the last record breaker of $699. This book is going to break $700.
It's on its way, and then we have the 6.5, which sold for $1,320 back in January, up 28%, now selling for $1,695.
Make sure to check out last week's video because we also reported on a Canadian price variant that we believe sold for way under market. Next at the list at number 9, we have Daredevil 168, debuting in 1981. Frank Miller, goodness, the first appearance of Elektra.
Not only is it the first appearance of Elektra, but it's the first solo written work by Frank Miller on the Daredevil title, which would later go on to become an iconic run. It also has the misspelling of Elektra's name on the cover, and this is the book that has that crazy misprint that we were talking about.
A unicorn comic book indeed. We're talking about an 8.0, which, to give you some perspective, typically hits under $400. We're seeing them hit right around $350, sell for 4x more, for $1,250. And what's the difference? Yes, it's a double cover, but not one like I've ever seen. On the inside, on the centerfold, is where that extra cover was inserted. And it says it on the CGC label. Look at these pictures. It's magnificent.
Man, I love how you can still see that interior cover through the slab and how CGC has the notations that it's a manufacturing error. These are those type of non-manufactured collectibles that I just love, man. These errors, it should have never existed. How many of them actually are there? That's what's so cool about these, man. Moving on to the regular one, the CGC 9.0. That book sold for $600 in March. It's up 8%, now selling for $650. And then we got the Big Daddy CGC 9.8, which sold for $52.50 in July. Up 1%, but holding, showing that sale was validated, selling for $52.80.
Whether it's Charlie Cox reprising his role as Daredevil and Spider-Man, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, the Netflix Marvel heroes now acquired by Disney+, a lot of spec on the Defenders, or Frank Miller's announcement that he's starting his own independent publishing company this last week, the Frank Miller keys, the Daredevil keys and villains are prime for collecting now before they go up even more than they already have. Now, there's a lot of market movement, and the best way you can do it is by keeping up on the marketplace by downloading the best comic app in existence, Key Collector Comics. Utilize code TOM101 on the best comic app in existence. Support the show and keep up on the rapidly moving marketplace.
And oh, what's this? Number 8 on the list, some DC love? That's right, man. We've been telling you that these DC first appearances are severely undervalued right now. And we're talking about Batman 232 from 1971, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, and second appearance of Talia al Ghul.
With the recent passing of Neal Adams, one of the legends, one of the greatest artists of all time in our medium, this is the first of multiple comic books that are seeing major interest over the last couple weeks. And I think this is something we've seen very commonplace. When we lose someone we respect so much, it's like part of the grieving process. And with the DC blue chip books being so undervalued for a really long time, this is now some of the first signs that they're hitting that new marker that we expected them to hit since the comic boom began 2 years ago.
Our condolences go out to both the families of Neal Adams and George Perez. So sad, and it's understandable that collectors are going to want to go out and pick up their favorite books from these creators. So we have a 6.0 that hit the list, selling for $600 in August, maintaining, selling for $600 again, and then we have a 9.6, which sold for $13.25 back in August. That one's still maintaining, up a little bit, 6%, now selling for $1,400.
Then we have a 9.8 back in March going for $20,500. Seldomly do we see a record breaker outdo itself this close just months prior. Up 7%, now selling for $22,000. Next at the list at number 7, a Man-Thing key that I think has gone way undervalued for quite some time, and it's starting to creep up for good reason. We have Fear. Adventure into Fear, issue number 10, the first headlining Man-Thing feature, because he's showed up in comics a few times, but this one, he's on the cover and taking own in his own title.
Yeah, it's almost like his first solo series, if you will. He first appeared in Savage Tales magazine, second appearance in his origin in Astonishing Tales 12, then he had his first cover and third appearance in Astonishing Tales 13. So this is kind of one of those next best thing books, and it's cool that it's his first headlining title. And look, 3 record-breaking sales since our last video. A 7.0 sold for $120 back in 2019. Now it's up 67%, selling for $200.
Totally agree with you, Jem. This is indeed the next best thing. We have a 9.4 going for $462 in 2021, up 43%, selling for $660. We've been waiting for a Man-Thing Easter egg since WandaVision, a Man-Thing appearance since Thor Ragnarok. Hit him with that 9.8.
The 9.8 has made some gains. It sold for $595 in 2013. We haven't had a record-breaking sale since. It's up 424%, now selling for $3,120.
Not only does the community need to be watching error prints, they need to be watching the reprints. But before we get to that, let's introduce the next book on the list at number 6, Fantastic Four #1, debuting in 1961, the introduction of the Marvel Age, the first Marvel family.
We all know Marvel's first family is coming. It's just a matter of when, and this book's going to continue to command record-breaking sales until we get a trailer or some type of casting rumor at least. We've also had the Golden Records reprint show up on the list last week, where an 8.5 sold for $1,500, putting it up 7% from its prior record-breaking sale of $1,400. It's funny, we have 2 more Golden Record reprints to report on here. We have a 6.0, which last record-breaking sale was $549 in June, up 201%, now selling for $1,650. Then a 7.0, again, Golden Records reprint, selling for $470 in 2019, now up 123%, selling for $1,050.
This isn't the only Golden Record reprint that we've talked about on the mic in the last few weeks, Jem, and I find it fascinating that Key Collector is even having to add the reprints to the commentary of the #1 blue chip books when being discussed, because it seems like as the blue chip books go up, if there are reprints, they're moving up as well. Probably because if you can't secure the first print, looking at the reprint is the next best thing. Look at the 1.8, an intro copy going for $15,250 of a first print back in 2021, up 22%, now selling for $18,600.
A 5.5, which sold for $42K back in November, is up 14% with this new record-breaking sale of $48K.
And now at the list at number 5 with Journey into Mystery 84. This is the second appearance of Thor, the first appearance and cover of Jane Foster. Sounds like a double key that over the last 2 weeks has become of interest for the latter, not the former.
Yeah, it's funny how this book was probably most noteworthy for being Thor's second appearance, but now that it's the first appearance and cover appearance of Jane Foster, who's going to play such a major role as Thor in Thor Love and Thunder, it makes sense why we're seeing these record-breaking sales, starting with the 3.5, which sold for $1,820 back in July of 2021. It's up 10%, now selling for $2,000.
The 4.0 going for $1,900 in May 2021 is up 16%, selling for $2,200.
And lastly, we got the 7.0. It sold for a commanding $7,211 in June of 2021. It's up 17% now, selling for $8,415. And it's funny how we haven't had record-breaking sales since probably, what was in 2021? The announcement of Jane Foster being Thor. Now with the first trailer, we're seeing collectors' interest spark again. And what's this? Moving on to number 4 on the list, more DC love with Superman issue 233, Bronze Age goodness, iconic cover by Neal Adams.
Superman breaking the kryptonite chains. They even knew they had something special because they put the #1 comic magazine stamp on it, on a book that's not a #1, but I think tricks collectors a little bit when they see the cover for the first time. I think they knew back in the day, Jem, that issue ones on a cover push the sales up. What do you think?
Yo, I always thought this was Superman issue 1.
I love that, dude. Full honesty from Gem Mint. And this right here is another example of a collectible key that Neal Adams was a part of that's become of major interest to collectors. But like the last book we discussed, these books are selling for near what they've been going for quite a long time. They've just been selling more over the last couple weeks, which shows that there has always been an abundance available. So this may be a great time to secure one if you are looking for one. We have a 3.5 going for $75 back in 2017, selling for $133 this week, an increase of 77%, but this book should always be worth more than $100. A 5.5 going for $170 in March has hit $200. It's up $30, up 18%.
Yeah, you're right. The more modern sales are closely in line with its previous record-breaking sale, which lets us know retailers aren't gouging and collectors are paying what the book is worth. A 6.5 sold for $272 in February. It's up 12%, now selling for $305.
Let's continue this conversation with more Neal Adams, Denny O'Neil greatness. We have at the list at number 3, the first Bronze Age comic book, Green Lantern 76, debuting in 1970. Changing the game about how writers take to the pages of comics more mature themes that could serve not just the younger generation, but the existing generation that was getting older, that would pave the way for how comic books are written to this day.
Yeah, the social issues brought up in this book is one of the reasons why it's considered the first book of the Bronze Age. We have a CGC 3.5, which sold for $295 back in October, up 12%. Again, not that much more, selling for $330.
A 5.0 going for $426 in 2021, up 29%, selling for $550. This is still affordable.
And even the 7.0, it sold for $699 back in March. It's up 14%, up $100, selling for $799.
Now at the list at number 2, I am so excited to see Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Comic fam, hit the like button for Gem Mint alone, who hit the mic with me early today so I can go see it after filming, and he swore to secrecy.
So I'm doing this whole list, having seen the movie. Tom hasn't seen it. I'm trying to be good. Number 2 on the list, Fantastic Four 46. It's the second team appearance of the Inhumans, but the first full appearance of Black Bolt.
As it pertains to Doctor Strange spec, this is the final record breakers prior to the worldwide release of the movie. Let's see where investors put their money at the finish line. We have a 3.5 going for $290 in April, up 3%, hitting the $300 marker. The 4.5 going for $340 in February is up 3%, selling for $350. The 6.0 going last week for $575, up 13%, selling for $650.
But hold on, we have 2 more record-breaking sales. A 6.5 sold for $514 back in February. It's up 26%, now selling for $650. And the 8.0, which sold for $1,200 back in March, is now up 11%, selling for $1,329.
Keep in mind, comic fam, these are the prices, the records that broke prior to the release coming out, with members hoping that they soar next week. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. It'll enter you to win this Omni-Man Invincible #1. And if you like what we do, hit the link in the description, go to comictom101.com and join the May Mystery Mail Call. We are getting you ready for Boys Season 3. Every box is getting 2 different exclusives. One done by Johnny Desjardins, Boys Herogasm, the first appearance of Soldier Boy reprinted in comic books with a Homelander cover. Also one per box, a Starlight cover done by horror legend artist Ben Templesmith on Boys #7, another reprint debuting Stormfront in comic books. And Gem, hit him with the #1 comic book in the Multiverse of Madness.
You know, it had to be a Doctor Strange book, and it's Strange Tales 126, which gives us the first appearance of Dormammu, of Clea, and of course, the first time he uses the phrase, the hoary hosts of Haggith.
Will we see Charlize Theron in the movie? I'm not looking at Jem because I know he knows this answer, but by the time you're watching this video, you're going to know as well. Let's take a look at the numbers and see if this was a good spec. Hitting number 4 on our list last week, we have multiple record breakers this week. A 3.5 going for $382 in April has hit the $400 marker, an increase of 5%. The 4.0 going for $500 in February is up 10%, now selling for $550. And the 4.5 going for $465 in April is up 3%, now selling for $480, less than the 4.0 because members are grabbing what they can.
And normally, you have to have 3 record-breaking sales to at least make it on this list. This is number 1 because there are 6 record-breaking sales to report on, so let's take them home. The CGC 5.0 sold for $625 back in March. It's up 3%, now selling for $645. The 5.5 sold for $600 in March, and it's up 17%, selling for $700. Lastly, the 6.5, which went for $821 back in February, is up 34%, selling for $1,100.
Clea and Dormammu in a 6.5, clearing the $1,000 marker for the first time in comic book history. Hot damn, comic fam. We appreciate your time today. Hit the like and slap the subscribe button. You know we're going to be here next week to talk about more record breakers. And as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Join myself and Gem Mint starting at 2 o'clock every single Wednesday on the best new place to buy and sell collectibles, Whatnot. Available for both Androids and iPhones. Dollar start auctions that last as little as 15 seconds long. We got the keys. We got the giveaways. We have the exclusive drops, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and so much more. Link in the description. Support your homies, and we have 2 other videos for you to check out. We made them for you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Doctor Strange.